everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. In today's video, we are diving into essential sorting and swapping challenges that will sharpen the JavaScript skills and help us to tackle the real world problems as well. Here we will cover how to swap the values using destructuring assignment, swap values with a temporary variable, sort an array in an descending order, and sort an array in an ascending order. These challenges are fundamental for coding interviews and in any project that involves data manipulation. So please grab a notebook, follow along, and let's explore this exciting sorting and swapping problems. And if you get stuck anywhere on any question, please drop a comment. I am here to help. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coding content. And let's get started with the first question. And the first question is all about swapping the values of two variables using destructuring. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code, we have our question, right, along with the sample input and output. So let us read out the question. What is the question? We have to write a JavaScript function that swaps the values of two variables using destructuring assignment. Okay, and in the input we have been provided with two variables, that is a and b, and what are the values assigned? A is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10, and in the output if we see, it is a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 5. So clearly we can see the values have been swapped, right? From 5 it has become 10 and from 10 it has become 5. So here we have to do the swapping, but while doing swapping we have to remember that we have to use the destructuring concept here. So let us come down and let us see how we are going to do it. Let us come down and we will break down this particular question. So first we are going to write here what JS function. Okay, why? Because we have to write a JavaScript function, correct? Now, what is the next important part of this question? That we have to swap the values of two variables, right? So that also we will take here and we will put it over here. And the most important thing here is that we have to use the destructuring assignment. So let us put it over here that as well. Okay, so these are the three important part of this question. Okay, now since we have to swap the values of two variables, we will come here and we will define our function name as what? Swap values. Okay, and we will write here what? Parenthesis. Okay, now let us understand how we are going to swap the values of two variables using the destructuring assignment. So let us come here and we will understand the approach and we will write here what? Approach. Okay. Now in this question, it has been clearly mentioned that we have to use a destructuring concept, right? So we will write here what? Destructuring. Okay. Now what does this destructuring allows us to do? It allows us to unpack the values from arrays or object into a distinct variable. So I will write here what? Unpack the values. Okay, now in this question we are going to work with the arrays. Okay, so we will understand how we can destructure an array. Okay, so let us come here and we will take one sample array. So I will declare here with a variable like const arr is equal to, and I will write here what? 1 comma 2 comma 3. Now suppose if I want to access 1 or if I want to access 2, so that means I am trying to access the elements of an array. So how can I access the element of an array? By using the index numbers, right? So I will write here what? Console.log arr of what? 0. What will be the output? I should get 1. We are trying to access it through the index number. So I will write here what? Index number. Let us come and test it in the terminal. I will come here and I will write here what? Node day 58 challenge and I will hit enter. What I got 1. That was our desired output, right? Now let us come and access 3. Now what is the index number? The index number is 2, right? So we will write here what? Console.log arr of what? 2, right? Let us come and test it now in the terminal. So I will write here what? Node day 58 challenge and we will hit enter. What I got 3. So that means I am able to access it through the index number. Now suppose I don't want to access it with the index number. Why I am saying it? Now here we have only 1, 2 and 3. Suppose you have more elements in an array. So in that case, can we remember the place where it is lying, right? We cannot remember the index numbers, right? So what you will write it? You will write here what? Const a comma b comma c. Okay. and you will write here array. So what you are doing at left hand side, you are declaring it an array that is a comma b comma c, and here you are writing right hand side is equal to arr. So now what will happen eventually, here you have how many elements here, a b and c, right? And in the right side also you have 1 2 and 3. That means both the elements are matching, right? The number of elements are matching, a b c and 1 2 3, the length is 3, right? So what will happen, whenever you're trying to access your a, you will get 1. Whenever you're trying to access your b, you will get 2. Now you don't have to remember your index numbers, it will automatically assign it. Let us test that out. So I will write here what, console.log a comma b comma c. I will write it directly like this. Okay, let us come here in the terminal and I will write here what, node day 58 challenge, and I will hit enter. What I got, see, 1 2 and 3. That means I am able to access it without an index number. I don't have to remember. Okay, so this is what is your destructuring concept. So whenever you want to use this destructuring concept, what you are going to do, in the left hand side you are going to create an array of a variable names. Okay, like a comma b comma c, or number 1 number 2 number 3. It can be anything. Okay, and in the right hand side you are going to pass your actual array, and then if you test it out, you will get here what, 1 2 and 3. Suppose you take one more example. Okay, I will write here one more array. So I'll write here const array 1 is equal to, and I write here 10 comma 20 comma 30. Okay, and now if you come down and you write here what, const now num1 comma num2 comma num3. Okay, and here what you will write is equal to, you are going to write arr1. Okay, now you write here what, console.log of num1 comma num2. Whatever you will console, only that values you will get. Now you should get what, 10 comma 20, right? So you will get 10 and 20. So let us come here and type here what, node day 58 challenge, and you hit enter. What you get, 10 and 20, right? So this is what it is doing. It is unpacking it and it is giving you the values, right? Now one more important point here to remember. See, here whenever you're doing it, don't put it in the double quotes. Okay, you are declaring a variable. Okay, here, so that is why you remember it. You are not going to put it in a double quotes. So you are declaring an array, and inside that there are variables which will directly go and assign to the elements of the right hand side array values. So this is what is a destructuring concept. Similar concept we are going to use for the swapping also. Okay, now here what we will do, now let us come here to the question. Now we know that this is our input, right? A is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10, right? Now from this, can we create an array? We can create an array, right? We can create an array called as a comma b, right? So that is what here we are going to do it. So we are directly going to write what, const, okay, a comma b we will write here. Okay, this is the variable declaration here we are doing, and right hand side we are going to use our array that is b comma a. So we can do it both the ways, a comma b, b comma a. Now if you see your num1, we know it is representing 10. We know num2 is representing 20. How it is representing? Let us take this array. Okay, so we will come here and we will put here this particular array like this. Okay, now num1 is what, 10, num2 is what, 20, and num3 is what, 30. This is what it is happening. Now let us come here and take this as well. So now our b comma a is what, 10 comma 5, right? If we substitute the values correct, so what will happen, a will represent 10 and b will represent 5. So automatically now the values have been swapped, right? Now a will be 10 and b will be 5, right? That is what it is going to happen. And in the input, if you see, what was a value, 5. What was b value, 10. Automatically it has swapped, and we have done this efficiently without needing any temporary variable. So we have swapped the values without needing any temporary variable. So we have used here destructuring to reassign the values, correct? Now let us come down and implement the same thing inside our function. Before that, we will just comment out the rest of the things. Okay, so I'll just comment out this as well. Now let us come down and write our function. So I will write here what function, and I will write here what swap values, right? And let us quickly invoke it. So I will write here what swap values, and we will pass our input values. That is nothing but 5 comma 10, right? We can see here a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 10. So this is what we are going to pass it. Now let us come here and we will receive here what a comma b. Okay. Now let us just test it out by writing what console dot a comma b. Okay. So I will come here and write this. So we will come here and we will write what node 58 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do we got? We got 5 comma 10. That means this function is successfully running. Okay. After this, what we are going to do? We are going to use the destructuring to swap the value. So I will write here what a comma b is equal to b comma a. Okay. And in this, we are not going to write const because we are using the params, right? Let us take this console.log and we will put here also to test the swapping. Okay. So let us write here what node 58 challenge, and we will hit enter. What do we get? 10 and 5, right? So if you see clearly, we have swapped it, right? So we can write here what before swap and after swap. So let us use our template literals, and I will write here what first of all, I will put this into flower braces. Okay. This is a comma b, right? So let us write it like this, and we will write here b also in the flower braces. Let us come here. This also we will put it in the template literals. Okay. Dollar a, and like this, and here we will remove this comma dollar b. Okay. Like this flower braces we will write it. So we have now inserted inside the template literals. Let us clear the terminal and let us see, do we have any change now? Let us hit enter. What do we get? 5 and 10, 10 and 5. Now we can write here the statement, right? We will write here what before swap. Okay. And we will write here what a value was. Okay. So I will write just a is equal to before swap, and I will write here b is equal to. Okay. Let us write it like this. And now let us come down and we will write here what after swap. So I will write here what after swap. I will write a is equal to like this, and here we will write what b space is equal to space, and now let us test it. So I'll write here what node day 58 challenge, and we will hit enter. See what we get. So we have got before swap a is equal to 5, b is equal to 10, and after swap a is equal to 10, b is equal to 5. So if you see, we are clearly getting this particular thing in the console, what was being expected from us, right? You can invoke it with a different values also. Let us come here and we can invoke it one more time. We will write here swap values, and let us write here 30 comma 40. So we will write here what node day 58 challenge, and we will hit enter. What we get? A is equal to 30, b is equal to 40 before swap, and after swap it is a is equal to 40 and b is equal to 30, right? So this is what we have done, and we have got our exact output also. Okay. Now let us have a quick recap of this question. So let us read our question, what it was being asked. We have to write a JavaScript function that swaps the two variables using the destructuring assignment, right? And we had the input and output, right? Then at line number 7, 8 and 9, we took the important parts from the question and we wrote here, right? What was the important part? That we have to write a JS function. So we defined our function name as what? Swap values. Then we swap the values of the two variables using the destructuring assignment, right? So we understood with the help of the input that initially a value was 5 and b value was 10. And after swapping, we need a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 5. That too using a destructuring concept, right? Then we also understood what is destructuring, right? And we understood using an array, right? So that is what we have done here. What does destructuring do? It is going to unpack the values from the arrays or objects into a distinct variables, right? So to swap the values, what we have done, we have used this destructuring assignment. And then we came down and we understood also how to write the same thing inside our function also. So we wrote our function swap values, and we printed the value before swap and after swap, right? And this was our destructuring. See how small it is. The name is so big, destructuring an array. But what we have written at line number 31 is just a very small thing, right? But it is very important to understand the concept. If you understand it, it is easy. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So you will have to understand the destructuring concept, and we have used here destructuring to reassign the values. That is why it is efficiently swapping the values without needing any temporary variable. Okay. And then what we have done, we have just improvised the console.log statements as well. So at line number 35 and 36, we have invoked this, right, two times by passing first time 5 comma 10 and second time 30 and 40. So what it is doing, whenever we are invoking it, it destructuring and swap the values. So function prints both before and after states as well, right? That is what we have done, before and after both it is printing. Okay, so if you come here and test it in the terminal, so what you will get, node day 58 challenge. Okay, and if you hit enter, you will get the swapping of the values, right? So we are getting the proper values what was being expected after the swapping. Okay, so that is what it has been asked. Now I will tell you guys why this challenge is important, because I will tell you guys why this challenge is important, because destructuring is using a temporary variable. Okay, so let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS code. If we see in the VS code, we have here our question along with the sample input and output. Okay, so let us read the question, that we have to write a JavaScript function that swaps the values of two variables using a temporary variable. Okay, and if we see here, we have the input example also. What is the input? A is equal to 3, B is equal to 7. And in the output, what we have? A is equal to 7 and B is equal to 3, right? So the values have been swapped. But here we have to use a temporary variable, okay? So let us proceed with this. So let us come here and we will break down this particular question. So we will write here what first? JS function, okay? Why JavaScript function? Because we have to write a function, correct? After that, what is the next important part? That we have to swap the values of two variables, right? So let us take and we will put it over here. Now, what is the next important part here? That we have to swap the two variables, but we have to use a temporary variable, right? So let us take here that as well, okay? Now, since this question is asking to swap the values, right, of two variables, so we will come here and we will define our function name as what? Swap values. Okay, so I will write it like this with a parenthesis. Okay, and they have said you have to take a temporary variable. So what we will do, we will take a variable here called as a temp. Okay, so let us declare it and keep it. So I will write here what? Let temp. Okay, like this. Okay, now let us come down and we will understand the approach for swapping the values of two variables using a temporary variable. Okay, so let us come down and we will write here what? Approach. Okay, now in this question we are going to consider this as our input. Okay, what is the input? A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 7. Okay, now if you see here, they have said using a temporary variable, right? So for that, we declared a variable called as a temp. So let us take that variable here. Okay. Now, what is the use of this temporary variable? What it is going to store? This temporary variable will be used to store the value of the first variable during the swap. Okay. So value of the first variable, it is going to store. What is the first variable value? That is nothing but the 3. So how it will store? We will use a assignment operator. What we will do? Temp is equal to A we will write. So what will happen? It will store 3, right? So temp will have now 3 as a value assigned to it. Okay. Now what is we are going to do in the next case? Now in this, the first variable, we are going to assign the value of the second variable. Okay. So what is the first variable? A is the first variable, and in this we will assign the value of the second variable. What is the value of the second variable? That is 7. How we can assign it? We will assign here what? A is equal to B, right? So then only it will become what? A is equal to 7. So if you see the output, we got the output as A is equal to 7. So that is what we have done here. Now, one more time, we are going to assign the value. Okay, but where and what? Now we have to update the value of B as well, right? So what we will do, we will come here and we will assign the temporary variable to the second variable. So we will write here what? B is equal to 10. Now, what is our B value was 7, right? Now what is the temp value? Temp value is 3. So B is equal to temp means B is equal to 3 will happen right here. So I will write here what? B is equal to 3. So from B is equal to 7, it became B is equal to 3 because we used the assignment operator to update the value of it. So if you see here what we got here A is equal to what? 7, okay? And then we got what? B is equal to 3. If you see the output, we have reached to this particular output, right? So what we have done, we have swapped the values, right? First, it was A is equal to 3 and B is equal to 7. Now it is what? A is equal to 7 and B is equal to 3. And finally, we will log the swapped values, okay? So in this case, we have declared a temporary variable. In this temporary variable, we are storing the value of the first variable, okay? After that, in the first variable, what we are doing? We are assigning the value of our second variable, right? And in the second variable, we are assigning the value of our temporary variable and hence our values are swapped. So what we have done? Temp is equal to A is equal to B, and B is equal to temp, right? This is what is the final approach we are going to do it. Now let us come down and we will implement the same thing in our function also, okay? So let us write our function. So I will write here what function, and our function name will be what? Swap values, right? And let us quickly invoke it. So I will write here what? Swap values, right? And in this we are going to pass what? 3 comma 7. Okay. So we will write here 3 comma 7. And let us receive here as a params as what? A comma B, right? So what this will be? I will write here params. Okay. And this is what 3 comma 7 is nothing but arguments. Okay. Now let us come here and we will just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log A comma B. And now just let us test in the terminal whatever the argument we are passing, this function is able to receive it or not. Okay. So let us write here what? Node day 59 challenge. Okay. And we will hit enter. What we got? We got here 3 comma 7, right? So let us come here and we will start swapping the values of the two variable using a temporary variable. Okay. So what we will write? We will declare our first temporary variable, let temp, and then what we are going to do? Temp is equal to A, correct? After that, what we will do? A is equal to B, right? And then we are going to do what? B is equal to temp, correct? And then finally, let us come down and let us console it one more time, the A and B values. Let us see what we get. So I will write here